Yahoo and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC and with me is.
Wolf.
And if you couldn't tell by the terrible pun that I kinda improvised on the spot or the thumbnail, today we're talking about a video game franchise that sadly not as well known but was just recently remastered and I really want to talk about it because this is one of those franchises for me that I love and I wished more people knew about it. And so here we are talking about Klonoa. We are going to talk about mostly the two main games that are in the Fantasy Reverie series collection, which was released around a month ago, because this is what Wolf managed to play before recording. I might give some minor opinions about the other ones, not that there's a lot. But yeah, Klonoa, Wolf, experiences, since I know it's not much.
I had none before this.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have said
Uh,
the name Klonoa, I would have been like, who? I got nothing. I
Sadly, that's
seen
most
like
of
the
the people.
mascot. I've seen it around before, but it never was something that like dawned on me.
Mhm. So it's something you at least you were kind of aware. Like when I told you, "Hey, can we talk about Klonoa?" You had an image in your mind.
Yes.
Okay, but other than that image, nothing.
No.
So for me,
This came out
Klonoa
on.
is one of.
Go ahead. We'll get there.
Okay. So to me, like a Klonoa is one of those franchises that I would actually call my baby because I love these games. I was introduced to Klonoa through the PS2 demo disc, which came with my PS2 all the way back in 2003.
So
That
the
was
first one you played was Lunate as well, then, right? Correct.
Yeah, I played two first. Like I played the demo of it, which came the demo this with my PlayStation 2 almost 20 years ago. Fuck, I'm old. And and uh, uh, and like a bit after this, I was like, okay, this is fun. I really like this. And then one day I was taken to pick up a new game for the holidays, and there just happened to be a copy of it right there. It's like, hey, I like the demo. Why not buy the full game? And one of the best decisions I've ever made. This game, I have so many fun memories of. One of my favorites of all time. And then I was wondering, all right, let's. I guess the first one was a PS1 game, so I'll have to look it up because the PS2 can play PS1 games. I'll have to look it up. And one day I found a Klonoa PS1 game in the store, and I'm like, well, that has to be that one. And it turned out to be the volleyball game. Oops. To those, I assume you're confused, Wolf. So yeah, there was a Klonoa volleyball game, the PS1, which came out after Klonoa 2, man.
Hmm.
I learned that the hard way. That's
Okay.
that's one of those childhood memories of like I thought it was the original, but okay. But eventually, I did get to play the original. I did manage to find it. I played it, and if for some reason you really want to play the original Klonoa Door to Phantom Isle, the best thing I can tell you is bust out your PS3. It's on the PSN store for like not that much money. So yeah, that's how you play the original Klonoa one if you really want to. But if you have any interest in Klonoa, which you should have, then this collection comes highly recommended for me. And so like Wolf as a newcomer, what did you think?
You're not gonna like me. I want to preface this. I want to preface everything I'm about to say by saying I'm not a big platforming fan. Yes, I've said in the past that I like Ratchet and Clank, Spyro, and Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter, right? I like them because they're more story-driven action platformers. The first game is not that at all. It is, in my opinion, more of a straight platformer. The second game
It's
is,
different than what you would expect, I
yeah,
assume,
if
because
you're a fan of, like, again, if you're a fan of Spyro, if you're a fan of Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, and Jak and Daxter, like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter especially, and Jak and Daxter especially, bleh, mouthful, this is vastly different. This is not even remotely
yeah,
the same. If you're a fan of Sly Cooper and Spyro, this is a little similar, but still very different. Those games
you
have,
would still say it's different than all of those because if anything, I'd say if I had to compare Klonoa to something, the first thing I would go with is Kirby more than the
yeah,
above mentioned.
yeah. I would say Kirby or some of the older Super Mario's. It's very much a straight platformer. I I have never enjoyed straight platformers. I just haven't.
Mhm.
Whenever I have to play a straight platformer, I will admit, if it overstays its welcome too long, I will get bored. And even if it doesn't, sometimes I'll just get bored very quickly and I'll walk away, and I find it hard to stick with them. Even the straight platformers that have stories, I find it hard to stick with them. Unless they try to change it up and do different things during the game, it bores me so quickly, I'll admit. And
Okay.
I regret playing the first game first because it bored me so quickly.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that your experience wasn't a good
I
one, but
want
my
to, again, I want to say, like, my experience wasn't bad, right? These are
Mhm.
good games, I think, and they were fun, they were enjoyable, and they're good platformers, right? Platforming is just not my bag. It's a very
Mhm.
particular type of platformer I like and enjoy. And if it's not that, I very much just kind of bounce off of them very quickly. I do want to finish the
Uh,
second game. It looks like it might be a little bit more up my alley than the first one was, but I do kind of regret spending. I think it was the first one's very short. It's not hard to beat in one sitting. I think I spent like 5 hours with it. I will admit I did play it on easy mode just so I could try and get through them faster. This re-release comes with an easy mode, which I
yeah,
think is a really good thing
for the
for
record,
everyone.
actually, yeah, for the record, something it's not true to Klonoa 2 since that game wasn't ever released, but with the first one, normal mode is basically what the PS1 game was, which
Hmm.
you get three hearts each hit you lose half a heart,
And you only get
and
like 3 lives.
and like also and you get like three lives and you can get more go along,
Hmm.
but like with the easy mode, so like it's kind of based on the Wii remake, which came out in 2008 or 2009. Those and there like you had five hearts for each hit you take, and for each hit you lose half of it. And
No, you
Klonoa's
lose
attack
even less. You don't lose
goes.
half. You lose a third. It's
All
even
right,
less
you lose
damage.
third in yeah you lose third in the easy mode here, right.
And you
And
have infinite lives.
yeah, you have infinite lives. So, but like the Wii remake, you get more hit points, and your attack goes a bit further.
Hmm.
The no life is something they added.
Yeah.
If you beat both games, you get a hard mode, which one hit you die. I am still yet to attempt that.
I I wouldn't be able to bring myself to do it. I did play a little bit on normal mode. I can see, so I could see the appeal and kind of understand more about the first game at least. And I did a teensy bit of normal mode on the second game, but I played through it mostly on easy as well. And I can see why people love this game. I can see why people enjoy the series, right? I understand it. I'm just not one of those people. And for me, playing them on normal, I think I would have had an even less enjoyable time because it just would have taken me longer to get through. And this was kind of the deal for platformers back in the day. They were a little bit harder. They made themselves a little bit harder. That way it took you longer to get through the game. I think if you probably played the first game on normal mode, it'd probably take you, if you were, decent, like generally, you know, all around the board average at playing platforming games, you probably take you like 6 to 8 hours to get through. Playing it on easy mode, I won't
I
lie, it took me like, I want to say 3 to 4. Not very
That
long.
touches something that I should say that my first playthrough of of this version of the game, of the release series. I beat the whole game, with all the villagers and the extra vision that you unlock. I managed to do all of this in 2 hours, but keep in mind that I'm someone who played this game to death.
Mhm.
So I am not. I'm not a way to compare. I'm nothing to compare to. I am fully aware that 2 hours. Like, oh God, that's not important. But it's also I play those games so damn much. I
It,
know. I know. Boy, like I can basically play them blind.
it,
So
uh,
it. Yeah.
it's worth
Sorry. Go
pointing out.
ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. It's worth pointing out though. This is just the first game. The second game is longer and does take
Yeah.
more.
And
I'm
even so, like I'm not sure what my playtime for this version of 2 is, but for the record, like it's not a very hard achievement game. Like if you are good with platformers, which Wolf is apparently isn't, so everybody.
I'm not
Um,
bad at
the,
platformers. I just don't like platformers.
yeah, yeah, you know what I mean. But if you're a platformer guy, then and you look for all the nooks and crannies, like it's not a very hard platinum trophy or whatever the equivalent is in Steam or Xbox or Switch. Like it's not a hard game to get all the achievements, and I managed to do all of 100% of games in under 24 hours but that's again because I play them so much. I am a fanatic of those games. I grew up with them. I so when I say I managed to do all of this in under 24 hours. Keep in mind I'm just a freak of those games. It's not same compared to how much it will take you to do it if you're coming in new.
Mhm, mhm. I,
But
speaking of, I bought the
yeah.
game on Nintendo Switch, and
Mhm.
my opinion thus far, I
Mhm.
don't think it's worth $40 on Switch. Personally, for those interested, I paid $40 for it on Switch, and I would personally say I'm not sure it's worth $40 because one, it's so short, and two, now granted, I do think you would have to tell me you've played the original games.
Yeah.
Playing through the first one, you unlock, once you beat it, you unlock hard mode, you unlock time challenge mode, and a few other things you can unlock as well, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken.
Yeah. So that's
I
the
don't
thing.
know if that
So with
provides enough replay value. To
yeah,
some, it
that
might, and it might be worth it because I know the second one does the same as well.
yeah. So basically, with the first one, like with both games, there's this thing that throughout the levels you have like six. In the original, it's six villagers. In the second one, it's six pieces of a doll.
Hmm.
So if you collect all of those, you in the first game, then you unlock an extra stage, and
Hmm.
in the second game, you can for collecting half of the dolls, you unlock one extra stage, and if you get all of them, you unlock the second one.
Yeah.
So yeah, so basically, it's something. It's a reward, and also like with both of them, you can unlock a time attack. So, but the thing is that yeah, I know it's one of those things that it's like kind of there to say you get something. I get it, and as much as I love those games and I come back to them very regularly, I know that for some they will be one and done. I completely get it, but at the same time, is it worth $40? I'd say, considering Nintendo had the audacity to release 3D Mario All Stars for 60, and those games saw no improvement whatsoever.
That's true.
I
That's
I
true.
think this is a better deal. You get two
Yeah.
great games for 40, and who knows? Maybe it even dropped. No, it's only been a month.
I
But
personally would
let's say
recommend
it's
picking it up on sale. I think it would absolutely be worth it. But $40 I think is a bit much for what you get personally. But I can't complain too much, right? Again, like
because
as said, I preface all of this by saying that I am definitely not the target audience because I'm just not a big platforming fan. It's just not my genre of thing I very much enjoy.
and that's fair. But
HC made me do this
if
at
you,
gunpoint.
I didn't force you to do this at gunpoint, just a bazooka. But at the same time, on that note, I actually had no idea that you're not a platform. Because if I had, I wouldn't suggest it.
I mean,
But
again, even if I still would have done it, because again, it's an experience, something I've not experienced before, and I did not know this came out on PlayStation and PlayStation 2, but it makes sense because this was, especially for PlayStation, because this was Sony's big thing back in the day where they were trying to find their mascot. You know, Nintendo had Mario, Sony for the first PlayStation was trying to find their mascot.
actually,
That's why we got.
funny you mention it. It's funny you mention it because actually it was more Namco's attempt at a mascot, like besides Pac-Man, which Klonoa was proudly on his head for the record.
Yeah.
It's more Namco wanted their own guy. They also wanted, a Sonic or a Mario that you say that's Namco. And why was it a PlayStation exclusive originally? You can tell,
Well, yeah, it was a PlayStation exclusive originally because Sony was at that time trying to search for a mascot for the console. That's why we had Spyro, Ratchet and Clank,
actually,
Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper.
That's the thing
them.
what people assume the PlayStation mascot was Crash Bandicoot, people for the longest part. That's the thing that people for the longest time kind of assumed. Yeah, Crash is the PlayStation mascot.
I also don't like Crash.
Okay, that's because you're wrong. We established that.
That's fair. That's fair.
But at the same time, regardless of what you think of Crash, Sony never really made an announcement that Crash was or wasn't, and even Naughty Dog said it. They never came out and said this is our mascot or there was any push for it. But because when you thought of the PlayStation, you thought of Crash Bandicoot. So Klonoa wasn't necessarily an attempt to get a mascot for the PlayStation. It was just Namco trying to come up with their own, because between Klonoa 1 and 2 there was a Klonoa game on the Wonder Swan, which is a Japanese exclusive handheld. You didn't see this one coming, did you?
No. I'm not surprised, but I didn't see it coming, no.
Okay, so basically, and so that's why I say that this thing was supposed that that game does exist because it wasn't on any PlayStation. Klonoa 2 was supposed to be ported to the GameCube, but there's no official answer as to why it didn't. But I think things around the grapevine say it's because Nintendo, and because for the GameCube Nintendo had like the special disc.
Yeah.
For the GameCube, not the DVDs. So, and apparently those discs didn't hold that much space in them, and Klonoa 2 was just big enough.
That and the proprietary hardware of it all made it more expensive to develop those discs, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yeah, so I don't quote me that's the reason there was never a GameCube port for Klonoa 2, but that's the point is that there was a port planned and then it was cancelled. Klonoa did have a good run on the Game Boy Advance, though, with Empire of Dreams and Dream Champ Tournament. All I'm going to say about those for you, Wolf, is that if the console games are not your thing, I am not sure how much you'll think of these when they are more puzzle platformers.
I've not played too many puzzle platformers, but I do tend to enjoy them a bit more than just straight platformers. Again, it's the idea that platforming in and of itself, I don't find all that appealing personally. If there's more to it, or if there's more of an interesting gimmick behind it that doesn't overstay its welcome, then I can get into it. But it very heavily depends. Klonoa, again, in my opinion, there's no, gimmick behind anything. It's very much straight platforming, and it's nothing too technical to get into. I think there's some stuff there. Especially the first one.
I would have, because the second one does a lot more with the idea of it, and with the with the action set pieces and all that stuff. I know that there are some people who would prefer one over two, and I completely get it. But
From my
like,
experience,
it's
I wish I would have played 2 over 1, and I think I would have had a lot more enjoyable of a time. And then went to
I
1 and
personally,
said, yeah, go
I
ahead.
want to say also, maybe it's just me that I started with two, so maybe I just have more nostalgia for it. But like in terms of everything that I want from a game, two has it in a lot. Two is just wonderful. Like there are a lot, like it. There are a lot of set pieces in it that I just remember, and I love it. Not to say anything about one, I really enjoy it as well, and I think it's a good. The best way I can describe it is Delta Fentanyl is like a good, you know, training wheel while Klonoa is riding the bike.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
fair.
I didn't play much of the Game Boy Advance games. Like I gave each one a playthrough, but and the thing is that the Game Boy Advance ones and also that Wonders one, if you really want me to talk about it, they are more puzzly in the sense of you can't just get to the end of the level, you need to collect 3 stars. And if you don't collect those 3 stars, you can't move on, obviously.
Mm.
But in that sense, they're a bit more puzzle oriented. Like it's the same gimmick, that you use your enemies to your advantage as projectiles or double jump, all of that jazz.
Mm.
But you need to be more clever with them. You need to know when to use what and stuff. If for some reason you still have a Wii U, I think the first one is available for download on it. But other than that, honestly, if you want to play a Game Boy Advance game at this day and age, it's either a virtual console thing or you emulate them.
Mm.
So your pick if you're interested, viewers.
Mm-hmm.
So to actually talk about Klonoa one
Well,
for a bit,
I do want to just get into
yeah.
some technical details. I
Hmm.
would like to point out again, the animation is good. The you can see. I love that I love that they included an easy mode for newer players to get into it more easily, because I'm sure
Hmm.
the original platformer was a lot harder, and some people may
Again,
not have
if you
enjoyed it as much.
played I'd say, as someone who played the original and the Reverie series, if you played normal mode of this, you played the original in terms of
Yeah,
difficulty.
yeah. From what I understand, yeah.
Mhm.
But
So,
to me it wasn't all that hard, even on normal. But to others it may be. So it may be something that they
let's say
want
that
to
some of the final
avoid.
levels, and if you're not
Say again.
careful, that is.
Some of the final
It's
levels. What now?
some of the final levels can catch you off guard if you're not careful enough.
Yeah, that's fair. Um,
Also, all I'm gonna say is that the second phase of the last boss can go to hell. At least when I first played it, like every other playthrough, I get the rhythm of it more. But like in my first playthrough, no, 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 fuck that guy.
agreed. I
All
do
right.
also want to talk about the port for the Switch real quick. I think they need to
Mm-hmm.
work on that a little bit, because there were some areas where I could tell the game was lagging, and I know this console can handle stuff that is heavier than this. I've seen it do so.
I heard, I heard that yeah, the Switch port, at least in terms of like, I played the PS5 version for the
Hmm.
record because that's what I own, and also it's weird for maybe it's because I just grew up with it. But controlling Klonoa with anything but the PlayStation controller sounds weird to me. I know, I'm sure if you let me play it on Switch, I'll get used to it immediately. Just me being a nitpicker because I grew up with these games.
That's fine. We all have our preference. Like, it was fine on the Switch. I could
I
lay
heard the
down in
loading.
bed and play it. It was no issue. But there
I
were
heard the loading times were a bit. I heard the loading times are a bit longer, and that there are some frame drops on the Switch.
Frame drops is what I noticed the most. If the loading times are longer, I honestly can't say. I downloaded it digitally, so it was on an SD card. I can't say if it ran slower or not, but I did notice the frame drops, especially in heavier areas where it had more enemies going on, and even more so in the second game. Like, I could tell there's this slight slowness to everything, and it didn't last long. And in areas where there were less enemies, less stuff going on, it was fine. But in certain areas of the second game and the first game, there were points where it would start to just slow down ever so slightly, enough to where you could notice it compared to the rest of the game, but not enough to where it was unplayable.
Okay. One thing I'll say, from the PS5
And in a
version is
platformer,
that
that's not a
everything.
good thing. Just to be clear.
Yeah. The PS5 version, it was slicky smooth for me. There were no
That's
frame
fair.
drops. There was nothing. These are one thing I do want to talk about, because I played the originals and everything. In terms of the upgrade, there are some things that are lost in transition, but overall, the visuals look so damn good.
Well, they even give you an option in both games to turn on like the original pixel graphics.
Yeah, because here's the
It's
thing,
changed
like
a little
with
bit, but you can still
it's
see the
one of
game and
those
what it would have
things.
originally kind of looked like, which is neat. I like that as a nice
Yeah,
little
yeah,
feature.
that's nice. And the one thing that I do want to point out is that the original Dota of Phantom, it was actually the backgrounds were 3D, the backgrounds were like polygonal and stuff, but the characters were sprite.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there were like three PlayStation 1 FMV cutscenes. Like you remember those? You remember those CG cutscenes from
Oh,
the
I remember them
PlayStation
fondly,
era?
very fondly.
Yeah.
I loved them.
So so like legit, there are some things that are lost in transition when you go from those. When you go from those cutscenes to like real time, which is what this version does.
Mhm.
And I won't lie, there are moments where I prefer the FMVs from the original to the in-game ones, but overall the game looks beautiful. Klonoa is freaking adorable, and I love him. and
Will agree.
Mhm. And like overall, like there again, I think in Klonoa too, there are some areas where mostly with the outdoors, there are some areas where like, maybe I like this a bit more in the original, but I'll be a fool to say that they massacre thing. They put a lot of love, effort, and details into this. Like I was smiling ear to ear playing this. It was so great seeing them, like with the more detailed graphics, 4K and everything. It was so fun to see. I was grinning like an idiot playing those. And I guess, but the grinning didn't last all the time because are we gonna talk about the stories?
Sure, let's talk about the stories.
Okay, yeah, at least let's start with the first. Okay, you know what? Before the stories, since I did mention this, so here's the thing. There are three versions of Klonoa Dota Phantomile right now. There's the original PlayStation One, there's the Wii remake, and there's this.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you a clear heads up, this version that you played is based on the Wii remake.
Ah,
Like it's based on that code. The one thing they did though is that for one in the remake, Klonoa's model is more reminiscent of the Klonoa 2 model. Like it's not the same attire, it's not the same wear, even though you can unlock that costume. But he's taller. He's taller. He's leaner. He looks like the Klonoa 2 one with just a different outfit.
mm-hmm.
So in this remake, they changed the model so that he would look more like his PS1 self, and I think it was a good change. I like it to show character growth physically.
Yeah.
The other thing is that if for some goddamn reason in the Wii version they are talking actual languages, so there's English voice acting.
Not what I heard in this one.
Yeah, so that's the thing that throughout the series, they're speaking in a language called Phantomilian, which it's a combination of Japanese and I don't know what. It's
It
it's
sounds
made
like,
it's
yeah, you
made.
can hear like some of the Japanese words and how they kind of distort them and change them and make them sound different. You can hear like a few English words picked up as well that, again, distorted and meant to sound different, things
Yeah,
of that nature.
but basically it's a made up language. There's
Yeah,
a dictionary online if you're really interested in learning it.
it's the same thing of
All
like the language from Nier Automata. It's made up, but you can like actually speak
basically,
that language, I think, technically.
yeah. Mhm. Like, or if you really want to get nerdy, Klingon.
True, Klingon. Yeah, that's another one.
All I'll say is that I know that Tripudu is Let's Go. That's the one I know on top of my head.
Our resident Klingon expert.
It's not Klingon Wolf. It's Phantom Isle. It's from Klonoa.
Oh, that one. Okay, our resident language expert.
Yeah, let's go with that. So anyway, so one of the charms was that there was a fake language, and in this remake they did use the original PS1 recording. You can even kind of
Oh,
tell that they are not that they are kind of compressed because they literally took the files from that PS1 version.
that's why it sounded like that. Interesting. That's kind of neat.
hmm And it's really neat because, so again, like the cutscenes themselves look and staged like they were in the remake, but again, they changed Klonoa's model to look more like the PS1 game. They restored the original recordings, which means that in the remake, Klonoa was weirdly muted. Like he would talk, but he wouldn't talk much at the start, and then suddenly by the end he has like a dialogue. Which wasn't the case in the original, and here they gave him all of his dialogue.
I
So
I do kind of wish they would have put the English VA work in this game too, as like a hey, if you want to
as an
listen to it,
option,
yeah. I
yeah.
kind of
Like,
wish they would
and
have
for
done
the
that because I'm
record,
curious as to
uh,
what that sounds like.
well, for one, you have YouTube. You can check YouTube. Two,
That's work.
there was actually an option in the Wii remake. Much as I hope about the English voice acting in the remake, it's at the very least they gave you the option. And three, no offense to Eric Stilt, because I know he wasn't given much direction and he just had to come up with that voice on the fly, but that's not Klonoa. That's Sonic the Hedgehog doing drugs.
Oh, I'm sure it's terrible. I want to hear it because it's terrible.
And that's the thing, the funniest thing about about the voice acting for the Wii remake is that half of the voice actors did basically nothing besides that game, and the other half is like, well, you just happen to be in the studio and they needed you for a quick game.
I would
Well,
love to hear the English voice for Huepo
like,
because I
Hugo, it's Laura
hated
Bailey.
I hated I hated how like the made up language
The
speak. I
Yeah,
hated his voice for that. It
yeah.
grated so badly.
So in the English version, it's Laura Bailey actually who. You've heard Laura Bailey. Let's just say this. You've heard her in most likely 10 things in your life.
Yeah,
She's
like
in
she's in
everything.
everything. It's Laura Bailey,
Yeah.
and she is good. Can she save Huepo though? Is she good enough to save Huepo? I don't know.
It's supposed to be pronounced Hupo. Just
Hupo?
saying.
It's
Yeah.
Huepo now.
Well, I've seen people pronounce it as Hupao, so whatever floats your boat, I guess.
E Pow. His name's we'll just go with the easy one. His name's Pow.
I'll probably still say Hupo because it's
It's
ingrained in my mind
Hippo.
now.
They don't pronounce
But,
it in the game, so I don't fucking know. So you just get me to
yeah,
make up shit.
yeah. But yeah, if you really want to, you look it up on YouTube, the entire English voice.
I'm curious. I
That's
might do that.
and
I
that's
kind
the
of want to
funny
hear
thing that
it.
apparently voice actress Wendy Lee, who's like very famous, she directed the dub. She also voices two of the characters. In fact, you have a lot of voice acting experience. What happened? Even though considering it's probably just one of those, it's something that we need to do for a paycheck.
Yeah,
So,
people gotta eat, man.
mhm.
Laura
Oh
Bailey had
well.
to eat, so
Yeah. Again, I'm sure Laura Bailey just walked by the studio, and I'm not sure. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Laura Bailey. She's a fantastic voice actress. Definitely, definitely one of the best in the business.
she's a class act.
And yeah, like bring her back to voice Blaze for the cat for God's sakes. But the one thing I wonder if I'll ever meet her. I have to ask her, do you remember doing this?
Probably
And just
not.
see. Yeah, because her IMDb page is like, so I doubt she remembers that. But like just to ask to see a reaction, like, what? Okay, so that's what I had to say.
Everybody at Laura Bailey with this podcast, do you remember voicing this character? Then we find out she's actually wrong. She never voiced this character.
No, it's her. It's her. She listed in the credits. It can't be erased, buddy.
What if
It's
they
there.
what if they just faked it? What if she's actually not there and it's just someone who sounds similar to her, or they took her voice from another game she voiced in and just used it in this?
Let's say if they actually did, let's say that if they actually did this, then man, that is some fine voice editing. That's all
I
I'm
would
gonna say.
love that. Like, it's just this huge conspiracy. Laura Bailey never actually voice acted in the Wii remake of Klonoa, Door to Phantomil.
Actually, in America and Europe, that remake is just known as Klonoa. For the
Klonoa,
record,
okay. So
no, like just a fun fact, and also I'll just say again, no offense to the voice actor. There are people who legit like him, get it, but his Wahoo sounds so freaking weird. Like when you, every time I hear this Wahoo, I feel like I die a little. It's not, it's not this. Not this. All right, but that's not for the remake. So let's talk about the story. What did you think about the story of this?
of the first game, it's there vaguely.
Hmm. Okay,
I didn't really
that's all you
care
have
too
to.
much.
Oh, okay. So you didn't care. Okay, so that means you're a monster for one. But the two, what were your thoughts when we got to the halfway mark and what happened and when Joker kills his grandfather?
I laughed.
You laugh. Oh God, you are a monster.
I am.
You are a
I
freaking
genuinely am
monster.
because I thought it was so stupid. I thought it was so dumb. Like, I get
For the
what they're
sake
going
of
for, but none of that was built up at all. And I kind of figured the second I met this dude, it's like, oh, he gonna die. This old dude gonna die at some point. He got the MacGuffin. They gonna kill him at some point. And we're gonna come back, or
no,
something's
no,
gonna
no.
happen.
Listen.
He's gonna get attacked. That's how it always goes with these games. And then they just blow him up with a laser from the sky. Like, the fuck?
No, like to me as a kid playing this, I was like, and I've even seen some adults who play this for the first time being like, holy shit, because like up until this point, Joker is just like the traditional villain lackey. You cannot beat him easily, and he's frustrated with the fact that you keep beating him.
Yeah.
But then suddenly it's like, oh no 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 no, he's packing heat and he freaking killed your grandfather. It's like, he's doing in this cutesy game? What happened to my
I will
grandfather?
admit,
No.
I was certain that they would bring him back or something, but no, like, he's just out. He's gone. He kills
No,
him. I'm like, all right.
no, no, no. He dead. He dead. And
Because
like,
it is
and
like, a young children platformer sort of deal, right? So you would think, oh, they're not going to do something that major in one of these games. But no, they do it. They go out, they do it. They blow him up, his whole house, everything, with a
Klonoa's
laser.
cry, like whenever the screen fades to black after it kills me every time. Every time I hear him go cheat, yeah. By the end of it, it's like, Why would you do this?
That's another
Why?
thing I kind of want to hear at the English voice acting.
All I'm going to say, if you laughed at this, you are definitely going to laugh now, you freaking maniac.
I mean, blame them. They're the one that made it worse. With
No.
the
I'm just
voice
saying that
acting.
if you found the actual heartbreaking version funny, then you're definitely going to find that version
Listen,
funny.
I'm sorry, but they needed more here to build it up more. There was nothing to build this up. It's just, oh, I know who
It's
has
just
the
this
necklace
one.
now. I'm gonna go kill him, and then they just blow him up with a laser from the sky, and it's just that's it. And it's just
Yeah, but it's like
there's just
I think what grabbed me so much is that in any other game you probably manage to save them, or there'll be a time limit to save them or something. Here it's like, you go into the boss fight after this, like, this guy is.
I get you, but I just didn't have the attachment. I just didn't.
Okay. Fair, and again, you are playing this when you're like
Fuck granddad.
older. Yeah. You're playing this when you're granddad yourself, and I played this when I was a kid, so maybe I was more attached. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's why I don't like it, because I'm also an old man and they killed the only cool old man in the game. So yeah, that's why I don't like it.
Yeah. So
Minus one
second
granddad
one.
out of 10.
Oh my god. Put this on the freaking bot.
There's
Okay.
a quote.
Yeah. So second bombshell. Hupo is actually the prince of the Moon Kingdom.
Yeah, that came out of
I
nowhere. That was
Yeah,
just
like
like,
that.
okay.
It's like one of those twists that does come out of nowhere. Like the only build up you get is like a level earlier when Yupo feels a bit uneasy with with them reaching the Moon Kingdom. But at the same time, like I wouldn't mind this twist if there was more to it necessarily, and also like Klonoa is a freaking awesome dude. Okay, Hubel doesn't deserve him at any means. Like he just drums the bombshell. I'm actually the prince of this kingdom, and I really need you to help me just a bit more. And Klonoa is just like, well, friends, of course I'll help you. It's like if I were in this game, I'd be like, you know what? No, fuck you, dude. I'm out. Deal with it yourself. You lied to me. Bye. But Klonoa is an awesome dude. He keeps going with it. And then we get to the freaking ending. You know what? Let's go you. What did you think? Hit me.
It was something. it it caught me off guard, I'll admit. Yeah, I'd say it caught me off guard because I didn't expect them to go like, oh yeah, this is all a dream. You were never here, and you're gonna go back
That's the
now.
thing. That's
And
the
bye bye.
thing that the twist isn't necessarily that it was a dream. It's more like I get it. I get that that's the idea because the entire game is Dream Team. I get it now, but on face value, you this kid lived a lie. This kid just found out that his entire life, his grandfather, his friends, everything is a lie,
This is another
and
reason why I
he's
don't care for Granddad's death, because it's like, what was the point now?
yeah, like in that sense, I can understand, but it kind of hits even walls that this kid went through this trauma of losing a family, and it's not even his real family. He doesn't even know his real family. We don't know where he's from, and suddenly it's just like, oh yeah, everything's a lie, and now we need to go. Bye. Like, listen, I grew up having trust issues because of this game. Okay, I grew up having freaking trust issues. This ending fucked me up. And I also kind of love it for it.
Fair, very fair.
Right. Because there is, when you really think about it from other points of view, it is kind of interesting to look at it that, this it was all a dream, and him going back is him being sent away is a metaphor for the, waking up from a dream. And sometimes you remember things differently. Sometimes you just, you don't really question a lot of things. It's because it's a dream. Okay. So in that sense, I think that's the game's real staying power. That you may play it, at least to those who play this when they're young, and those who are playing this now that they are young. That when you look back at it and you revisit it, you get a lot more. Like it may look like a simple kids game, but there's more to it in terms of what it's saying, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair.
On that note, I just want to say that if you are not looking at the deep inner meaning of it, yeah, a lot of people are really saddened by this ending, and like really, I'm kind of with them because where did this even come from? Where did this? It makes sense, but it's also fuck. I remember being the kid who played this, and I'm like, oh my god, what, huh? I knew that he wasn't necessarily going to stay in this world because I played Klonoa 2 before, but also, oh, okay. And yes, you can tell the English voice acting ruins this scene. Thank you for asking. That laugh was way more evil than it was supposed to be, Wolf. Just say.
Listen, it's more food for me. I'm happy.
Mhm. Fair enough. Well, with that
Before
said,
we move on to the
mo-
second game, I have noticed
yeah.
something.
Mhm.
Explain this, and I'm going to show it to our audience real quick as well. Let me just add this image in. It's in
Let's see.
the Discord. I'm just going to add this image in real
Yeah,
quick.
okay. So this was a very early concept art when the creator of the game wanted to do this game. Obviously, it never came to fruition.
All right. Sorry, audience. You heard a big bling, but just
Oh.
ignore that. Uh, Let me just
Um,
show the audience this because they need to see this too.
oh, is this the remake design?
I don't know.
Is
No,
this?
no. I'm. It's the one I showed you. Like
Oh,
this is
okay.
awful.
So
This is so
yeah, so this
bad.
this was the very early concept stage. This is what the idea for the main character was like. I'm not sure if it was even called Klonoa by that point, but
It looks so bad.
yeah.
I love it, but I'm glad they went with what they went with. He's way better. This would have been awful.
Also, if you scroll down or go to the remake page on
I have to
Wikipedia,
see.
they also considered redesigning him just for the American release.
Why?
Ah.
Why?
Also, don't look up the American Wii trailer for the remake. It's just abysmal.
Or do.
If you want to laugh at it, sure. But anyway, let me know if you found this other redesign because it's something.
It's not terrible.
But it's not Klonoa.
No, it's more. I think it's more.
Yako Wono's Sonic's Persona.
Yeah, yeah, that works. It's more furry inclined, I guess you would say. Here, I'll show
It
this
looks
to our
like
audience too.
it looks like an attempt to make him cooler, but no, the original design is good enough. Leave my boy alone.
So our audience can see this also.
Yeah. Well, second
Okay,
game.
never mind. They can't see it.
Hmm.
You don't get to see it, audience. Look it up for yourself. This one's a secret.
Yeah, but because it was because it was taken away for all the right reasons. Yeah, I guess it is.
You don't get
Well,
to see
anyway,
this.
so moving on to Klonoa 2, again, childhood game, love it to pieces. The story, I was really engaged with it as a kid. I still love all the stuff it stands for as an adult.
Yeah, this one seems like it has a much more put together story, in my opinion, from what I did play of it. The first one felt
So
like you were kind of just dropped into the middle of everything. This one feels like, okay, we're kind of building everything into the next thing. We're kind of
I'll
building
tell
everything
you
up and
what.
going into the next thing and kind of carrying it forward with Lola and stuff like that. It's more enjoyable from what I did play of it.
I'll I'll say this because in the first game, it gives you kind of this false sense of safety because like you are just this is the main characters. They know each other for this and that. They live here. Then there's something that's happening, and they decide to go investigate, and the story develops. Here, Klonoa is a stranger from the start, and as soon and we need to learn and discover this world alongside him. So already there's a bit more of a we create more of a connection with this world because the character we are controlling is also learning about this place like we do. So I think there's that.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, I also think I'm not sure how far you got, but so spoilers for the spoilers if you don't want to hear about it. The thing is
I
that
don't care.
okay. So the thing is that what I realized way later on in life, looking back, the main theme of this game is basically depression
Mm. Yeah, I
because
did kind of look up more of the story and read a bit more about it. So it seems like it's definitely kind of going over the idea of sorrow and things of that nature, which is interesting.
yeah, because also I just want to point out that the Japanese title for the game is Caves no Klonoa 2, the thing that the world wants to forget. Rolls of the tongue.
Hmm.
In Japan, it's the entire. In Japan, the franchise in general is called Caves no Klonoa or Kazen no Klonoa, which means
Mm-hmm.
Klonoa of the Wind.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like the thing that the world wants to forget, like nice. But that's the thing that so Klonoa arrives at this world where they tell them, hey, this we are like split into four kingdoms, and each kingdom has a bell, and there's a fifth bell that's supposedly coming to this world, and we don't want that because if that bell is wrong, then it's gonna connect fifth kingdom, and we don't want that. We don't want those. We don't want that. So Klonoa basically needs to, and he teams up with a priestess in training named Lolo and her Popka. Is great, by the way. He is amazing, and we need merchandise of him. I'm just going to put this out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so basically, and Klonoa is basically tasked to help them save the world because that's what priestesses do in this world. And along the way, you have more characters. You have a rival character named the Arena and there's Cat, who are like seem to be very prominent on getting Klonoa's ring and stand in the way. We don't know until later why, but when it's actually revealed to us, we find the Arena was actually a priestess in training as well, and she thought she was being wasted on silly training, and she really wanted to prove herself. And she figured that if she would prove herself by saving the world, she could show, people who doubted her and people who didn't believe in her that she is capable. Which, of course, later bites her in the ass because the sorrow actually takes over her, and the team and like the boss team when you fight her is just wow, beautiful. Look it up. That's actually another thing. The soundtrack in these games, especially two, mwah, beautiful. Look at it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed. Definitely enjoyed listening to it while
And
playing.
and because I really like saying this, the song, the song that plays in the snowboarding level called "Step in Wind," mwah, beautiful. Look it up. It's a song entirely in gibberish, but it's amazing.
Good to know.
Yeah, good. Just wait until we get to that level. That's an awesome level. Also, on that note, where was I going with this? So there's that. Also, we have Lolo herself, where in one level we find out that the poor girl kind of also had a lot of people doubting her, and and yeah, that's actually a really creepy flashback scene where all of them have like no eyes and stuff. It's like, yeesh.
A Japanese game
And
being creepy? A cutesy Japanese game being creepy at the same time? I'm shocked.
yeah, you make a fair point, but still,
A
I didn't
cutesy
have that
Japanese
same.
game giving more kids nightmares that they'll live with for the rest of their lives? I'm shocked.
Mhm. But yeah, so we have also Lolo's arc regarding it, which is great. And
Hmm.
by the end, she does give up the priestess title because she's like, you know what? No, I used Klonoa's talents to get this. So you know what? No, I'm gonna earn it on my own. I'm gonna do this by myself. Which is, and there is this, years before Inside Out was a thing, there's this message of, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel sadness as long as you know that you don't give up. Like, it's okay to be sad because
Yeah,
we,
it's a very
you,
nice lesson to teach kids who will probably be the majority audience playing this game, I would say.
yeah, and just this idea that because today we are not just today, but even more today, we are just kind of with this like, oh, don't be sad, oh, don't be like this. No, sometimes a person just needs to let it out. A person just needs to like calm down, unwind, let what's bothering them out because if they just bottle them, that's unhealthy. And
Yeah.
it's and I think it's great that we are getting to this message that what, it's fine as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't, just throw everything away and decide that's it, I'm done. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to just confide with friends and ask people to be there. It's perfectly fine. And again, it connects to what I was about to say with the first game that, at the end of the day, Klonoa doesn't have much of an arc in the second game, but you can tell that, he learned from this first game a lot about what his role means. And when he says back to Lolo and tells her, if you remember the scenes of this moment, we'll always be together, it's very reminiscent of what Hugo tells him, you know, before the sacrifice, quote unquote. And it's like it works for this type of without much connection because the two games are not really connected,
No,
but the connection is like hinted at. It's very subtle. I like it.
that's fair. Anything else you
So
would like to add?
so this is kind of a minor thing, but I kind of had this theory since I revisited the game with this collection. The King of Sorrow, our quote unquote bad guy, and that's another thing. Like, there's no real bad guy in the story about depression. It's like because it's we are supposed to technically stop this guy, but it's not. How does it's not one of those. How does it, it's not a story where you have a clear bad guy and you are not the bad guy, just misunderstand. And we see that through our actions in the game, we actually made this world better. So that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing though is that the King of Sorrow, in terms of design, does kind of look like Klonoa from the first game, especially the huge collar he has around his neck. And I'm like, I wonder if that's intentional. I wonder if, at the end of the day, this game was basically Klonoa getting over the twist of the first game.
Could be.
Which, which I guess, maybe I'm overreading this. I don't know. I feel like, The fact that there are enough hints to support it means that it might be possible. And
True.
I appreciate how they did it, subtly and not, push it in your face. Like as much as we say, it's a game for kids and stuff. It also treats kids like human
Yeah.
beings with a brain.
At least the second one does, I feel. The first one, again, I feel it throws you into the middle and you're not really given a lot to go off of there. And there's not a lot of connections you can make. The second one, from what I've played of it and what I've read, it takes you through a lot more, and you kind of get to experience and enjoy a lot more of these elements and these morals that it wants to teach. And it doesn't like heavy-handed. It's very clear as to what it wants to do and what it's doing. And I respect that a lot. Even if the game is
Indeed.
terrible.
Well, that's just you being.
No, again, I want to be clear. The first game and the second game, especially the second game, I'd say are very fun, enjoyable. I'm just not a big platforming fan, and I did bounce off of them to some degree, especially the second one, because it's not different enough for me to play through all the first game and then play through the second one.
It's one of those things where I think, considering how far you told me you got, I think if you give it a few more levels, you'll start seeing that it does pick up, and there
I
are
will
more
definitely
interesting
pick it
challenges.
back up later. Just
Yeah,
not right now. I need a break from Klonoa. Too much platforming. I have reached my
okay.
platforming limit, and I am just done and over it. Sorry.
Well, different folks, different strokes. Okay, it's
No,
like
that's fair.
me
Again,
not
like,
being.
not everyone likes
It's
everything,
like
right?
me not being into RPGs, and like I can't get into.
You are wrong. Get off my show.
I created this show, asshole. What do you mean?
RPGs are the only good game. I have decreed it.
Well, that went out the window to have a civil discussion. But yeah, you see, here's the thing. I can get into RPGs because it takes too long for me. I can't. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the qualities of an RPG. Like I
That's
know
fair.
why people like Final Fantasy. I know why people like the Tales of series and
But
a
wait,
bunch of other stuff.
you don't like RPGs, but yet you like Kingdom Hearts HC?
That's the thing. Kingdom Hearts is an action
That's
RPG.
fair. That's very fair.
I can get behind it if there's no like now it's your turn to attack. Now it's the enemies. Oh, you were not lucky, so you missed. Oh, the enemy was lucky, so it hit you.
See, I'm very
Oh, that.
different. I love how you like action RPGs. I love action platformers.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
sorry about that. Hit the mic. I also, you know what? Fuck it. Right here at the end, a little bit of flame. I cannot stand games that, especially RPGs that do the like, hey, we're gonna do the half and half, where it's half turn, half action. Woo.
uh,
Gonna be honest, I hate you. Looking at you, Xenoblade Chronicles. Go fuck yourself. That's right. I'm
no
calling Xenoblade
comment.
Chronicles 1, 2, 3 seems like they've done better. I've not played it, but I've seen it. It seems like they're getting better, but the first two, go fuck yourself. Also, fuck any JRPG or RPG that says, hey, movement in battle is a really good thing, and then makes you fucking move like you're walking through molasses, and it's so fucking slow. Go fuck yourself, Xenoblade Chronicles. That's right, I'm calling it out. It's a bad game series.
So at least we can
Come
say
at me.
that, at least we can say that you like Klonoa more than Xenoblade Chronicles.
No, you
Yes,
can't. I actually like
good
Xenoblade
enough.
Chronicles more.
Well, fuck you.
But listen, I'm just here to start beef and make people upset. We're at a Klonoa video, but everybody's going to be in the comments complaining about Wolf hates Xenoblade Chronicles. Fuck him. No, fuck you for liking that series. That's right. I'm going there.
If I may just point out two things that Klonoa 2 changed from the original. It's like it's minor changes. Like you can give or take on those. But like in the end, when Klonoa rings the final bell, he tells the King of Star, "I'll help you," because he kind of realizes that this is the voice that was calling him. And So in the original, he just says, "I'll help you," and then later on he kind of says, "I understand that you were the one calling me," but in the remake, it's again the voice file is still the same, but the translation it actually goes, "I'll help you." That's why you called me here, after all. It's like, wait a minute. Why did you feel it was necessary to put that in? He says it a few seconds after. Okay. And another thing, when he actually leaves in the end, in the original, he doesn't really say goodbye to Pop because Popka is too busy sleeping. And so in the remake, there's this point where they relocated Popka in the scene where he's like on Klonoa's way as he's walking, and Klonoa actually looks at him like he says goodbye, buddy, and then looks, and then Popka actually wakes up and he looks at them walking away. That's the detail they added for the remake, and it's a minor thing, right? It changes nothing in the grand scheme of things. But you know something? I'll take new additions. Like it was cute actually. So yeah, wanted to point that out. And this is all we're probably going to say because you all know I hate these games. So yeah.
Listen, I'm over here. You can watch the video to find out what I'm doing.
Oh no, what are you doing?
I'm continuing my beef with Lin-Manuel Miranda. That's all.
No. What the fuck, dude?
Where's our Rescue Riders theme song being sung at Lin-Manuel Miranda? Where's it at?
Never existing.
Wrong. It needs to exist. He owes us. Here at the Berkcast, he owes us.
He gave us way too much by doing Hamilton. That's all we need.
No. He's not cool. He's not cool until he does it. And George R.R. Martin is not cool until he writes an episode of Rescue Riders. That's how it be.
So many things to say, but I will just repress them.
We're just gonna get to this Klonoa video. Like, what the fuck happened? Chaos. That's what I do.
I was sure you were about to say chaos control for a second. Like, what the fuck, dude?
I'm not that lame. Anywho, Klonoa, this an interesting series. I do want to go back and finish the second game, and I will do so eventually. And you might hear me come back on here, or when we do our Outcast Awards and talk more about it and say, actually, no, I did love it. I did enjoy it. The first one, again, it's very bare bones in my opinion, very simple, but I think people enjoy that simplicity and really can get into that. And for those that do, go for it. Continue to love and enjoy this series. It's not for me personally. That's not because it's bad. That's because I'm just not a big platforming fan. Not a sole, the only thing you do in this game is platform fan. I personally need more than that to really get into a platforming game. And if it doesn't have that, I will, if it starts to overstay its welcome, I will bounce off of it. And the fact of the matter is I played the first one first and then went into playing the second one immediately. And I think that was kind of a bad idea for me personally because I started to bounce off of the second one. Because while there's some differences there, it's not enough, at least for what I played through, to get me to stick with it long enough, to not get me to bounce off of it. Overall, though, still very fun, very enjoyable, and will say I do still recommend you buy it on sale, this remake, but overall, I think they've added enough stuff and done enough stuff with it that it is, if you're a super fan and you love this stuff, you're probably going to say, no, this is absolutely worth it. If you're just new getting into it, I think there's enough stuff here to entice you, but I might wait on a sale, personally, but overall, very fun, very enjoyable.
The thing I'll say is that, again, I love those games, and if you haven't played them, then by all means, at least give them a shot. $40 isn't too much of a high ask for two great games, in my opinion.
Compared to Nintendo, what they're asking for.
Yeah. So if you can get, so it's on everything now. It's not a matter of it's discount. if you have a PS5, an Xbox Series, whatever, a Switch or a PC, you can play those. So if you can, please give them a shot, because the one thing I will say is that despite seeming like Namco wants to bring Klonoa back, they did such a piss poor job marketing this like around the world, like because and it was really helpful that because they revealed this on Nintendo Direct, and those always get views, right? And
Yeah.
suddenly it's like, and suddenly it's just like it's here and with barely any advertisement, and it's like, please, I know it sold well enough so far from what I've seen, but it's like, please make this a success and let Klonoa have some sort of staying power, because we live in a world where freaking Bubsy made it. We
It's
live
true.
in a world we live in a world where Sony re-released Morbius in theaters because of me. Let us
I mean,
have
that's not a good
let us have
example, though.
no, what I mean though is that people actually made fun of Morbius so much that Sony saw benefit from re-releasing it, and it bombed again.
That's fair.
So what I'm saying, if Klonoa sold decently from what I've seen, and it shows that it can continue to sell, we may get more. We may get a third game. We may see something happening, because, man, since the remake, there was a webcomic which was canceled midway, and there was a movie which was canceled. Well, like, Klonoa deserves better than this. He deserves to be, even if not like top tier video game franchises, he needs to be known. He needs to be, it needs to be around more than a lot of other franchises that are still around and are not worth anything. And they are just sitting on the shelves because we need those out. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Call of Duty, and other stuff that just won't go away. So please, if you can, give Klonoa a shot.
I was gonna make a joke, but I won't. I won't. I won't do it. I'll be respectful. Just this
Thank you,
once. Just this once.
if you
Listen,
say so.
spoilers. We'll be covering the next season of our boy next week.
Are we really going to talk about this?
And I mean,
Let's see.
listen, you'll I'll be able to be as disrespectful as I want next week.
Fair enough. So with that said, I guess that's all for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts about Klonoa, the new collection? Have you played them before, or are you experiencing them for the first time? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C, and on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
And we will see you all next time. Take care and wahoo.
Bye bye.